views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, welcome to Holidays Open 2.0. I'm your special guest host, Alyssa Colon, and today we'll learn about the Paige Fraser Foundation and their holiday film of virtual Nutcracker. Welcome to the show, Paige Fraser Foundation.
Hi.
So for my first question, can you introduce yourselves and your affiliation to the Paige Fraser Foundation, and what is your dance role in the virtual Nutcracker?
Totally. So hi, everyone. My name is Paige Fraser. I am the co-founder and chief creative officer of the Paige Fraser Foundation, and we were founded in 2017. Our mission is to create a safe space for artists with or without disabilities or physical challenges. And this season, I have partnered and collaborated with Marianne Penzero, who is also the director of our theater program. And we created a virtual variations, which was inspired by the Nutcracker. And my role in the production is Sugar Plum Fairy.
I am an alum of Ballet Atlantic, where I met Paige. Our teachers are Allison Joyce and Miss Leslie, with a tip of the hat to Sylvia, Nancy Clark, and Alexia Fraser. I am a newly appointed theater program leader for the Paige Fraser Foundation, having been a volunteer since its inception. And yesterday was my first guest appearance at the Eastchester Community Action Partnership, a division of West Cop, and we were able to do a reading of Nutcracker, and we viewed the film. And I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Randall Riley. I am from Mount Vernon, New York, so I'm a Westchester native. I've known Paige and Marianne since I was 9, which is also around the same time I started dancing. And it was in the Nutcracker as well, which makes this whole presentation and performance just so much more special for me, hopefully for you all that get to see it as well. I played the role of Spanish hot chocolate. So I was the first variation that was in the performance.
Hello, my name is Quint Lattimore, also known as Amethyst Rose in the virtual performance. I know Paige through dance as well, specifically through the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater School. This is my first time performing with Paige in this virtual performance, and my role was a marzipan.
Thank you. And I'm also curious, what upcoming events or projects can we look forward to from the Paige Fraser Foundation?
So our most upcoming and recent project is Virtual Variations. This is a holiday film that I have collaborated with Marianne Penzero, and it's really funny how this came about. We were talking and she presented the idea that she wanted me to perform Sugar Plum Fairy for a few programs within the libraries in Westchester and Yonkers. And my creative juices just started to flow. And I was like, well, how about we expand on this? I have so many friends right now. We are in a pandemic, and staying creative is like one of the best things we can do while we are stuck inside. So I thought about asking, some of my close friends and friends that I actually danced the Nutcracker with for many, many years, and pitched to them the idea of creating a solo that would go with a specific song in the second act of the Nutcracker. For those that are unaware, the second act is called Land of Sweets. So there's very short pieces, almost like vignettes, and as the story was developing even more, I was talking with Marianne, and I was like, I think you should be Drosselmeyer, because Drosselmeyer is typically portrayed by a male, and I wanted it to be portrayed by a female, and especially Marianne, who has years of experience in acting. She brought so much to the role and creativity. So yeah, we just went back and forth, and that is what happened. We created virtual variations, and it's very real. It's very honest. It's genuine. We are in a pandemic, and each dancer used the spaces that they had and created their own fantasy or their own fairy tale.
Land of Sweets ties into how we celebrate the holidays and our lives worldwide. So Amethyst Rose, when you were doing your Vogue scene on the beach, all the children started to move their hands. And Randall Riley, when you were doing your coffee cup variation, they were turning their hands just like you did. So I think this is far-reaching to see young people who've never experienced Nutcracker, never had a dance class, as of yesterday, have never seen a Nutcracker. So the book and the doll went out to them yesterday after I left. But just the idea of the dancers themselves, so Amethyst Rose, Randall, Jose Rondon Jr., Lori LaRusso, and Gina Bergamini, who all collaborated on this. It's your artistry and your truth that inspired everything I did.
Thank you guys so much. And also, for my next question, can you all talk about the inspiration behind your solo? Quinn, what about you?
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really sure about what everyone was doing. I really loved how we put this together, because this is kind of the first moments that I'm seeing some of the other cast members for the first time. So not knowing, and we, of course, we were in communication through email. So we saw each other's questions and we saw each other's brainstorming. So through that, through other people's questions, it gave me kind of idea of where to go. And again, this was not a traditional Nutcracker. So some part of my brain was like, maybe I want to do a ballet and keep it traditional. And the other part of me was just kind of like, let's be true to the resources that we have. And, with the music in my movement, hopefully people have imagination. So, like I said, it's cold in Chicago. So I happen to live right by the lake shore. And I usually go out there and walk periodically, like mostly every day. So when I got to the location that I filmed, I thought that it was very fitting for the moment, because it kind of gives you kind of like a playbox feel. You can see the sand, you can see the water. And so therefore it can still put the audience in a type of playful manner. And then with Vogue is predominantly in a more adult scene. So I guess also I was trying to make it pleasable and plausible for the younger audience, but still keep the essence of Vogue, which is where you get the seriousness from, still apparent to the culture, because I may know how to Vogue, but I'm not tied directly to the ballroom culture. So if anybody who were to see it, they could still see that there are some techniques and some flavors that are still, that you would see in that culture. So that's what I wanted to do.
Thank you. And for the same questions for Randall and Paige, can you talk about the inspiration behind your solos? Randall, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure, I'll go for it. Amethyst probably said it so much better than I could, but I really had that same mindset. When I was first approached, I had this idea of, well, should I, even though my dancing was more towards, my role was supposed to be specific to like modern and Afro modern specifically. I had this idea, I couldn't help but think of like Spanish when we were younger kids. So like the balance, different ballet steps that came to mind immediately. I wanted to like try to find ways to infuse them, and it didn't work, which was great, because then it really helped me stay honest to what, not what was asked, but what I wanted to showcase and what I wanted to present keeping the young people in mind who don't see dance as often as I have been blessed to. So keeping that honesty became easier when I went from there on. The editing was also very much a part of the inspiration because I found myself enjoying that more than the actual uh, dancing, the creating part, which is a muscle I never really flexed because I've been so focused on my performance career. So yeah, the editing, the music is also something that really still resonates with me. It's hard to kind of remove those. Yeah, it's hard to separate the past when I hear such nostalgic sound, you know. And I was playing it, you know, even when I wasn't recording. So it's kind of nice to like return to that Nutcracker feel of the holidays, even though we're in this period of isolation and like separation. I was still felt connected to the other artists thanks to Paige and Marianne, their correspondence that's been going on via group chat or as an email. Paige was also very much a huge part in just kind of keeping me going throughout this year in general. So it's really nice to come together for this moment for the Paige Fraser Foundation and the Virtual Variations Showcase.
Thank you. And Paige, what's inspiration behind your solo?
Well, Marianne presented it to me. She's like, I would love for you to do Sugar Plum. And I actually have never done Sugar Plum. All the Nutcrackers that I have been a part of, I never got to do that role. And same with Randall, like the memory that you have, the experiences that you have when you listen to the song, it's kind of hard to get rid of. And I always remember that the song that I danced to, which is the Pas de deux, which is done with two people, but I chose to do it as a solo. And there's something about the music. There's a richness, there's a drama to it. There's just something about it that I've always enjoyed, even as a kid watching the Nutcracker. I just enjoyed that music. And I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna dance to this. And of course I made it harder for myself because it's a longer song than the actual Sugar Plum solo. So yeah, and I think during the process, I was inspired by Quint, Randall, Jose, Gina, Lori, everyone's videos that were coming in. So it was like, I think I want to revisit mine. And it wasn't more so with the dancing, it was more so with the editing. And I think that was what inspired me to refilm mine and have a different approach. And I actually, the first time filmed on the front side of a synagogue, and then the second time I filmed on the back side. And I was able to just get more in with the camera. And yeah, I think just being in a pandemic, we are now given the time to explore different things that we're passionate about, as Randall touched on with the editing. And like, I also had a lot of fun editing my solo before sending it to like the overall editor of the film. And I also had a lot of fun helping to edit Gina's, who she did the Arabian solo, and Lori did the tap. And just like, again, bouncing ideas with them and being very clear with what it is that I wanted, but still allowing them to have their own artistic expression. But yeah, I think with dancing Sugar Plum, I just let the music move me this time and tapped into memories that I have. And you know, where we performed the Nutcracker was at a very historical theater in Tarrytown, New York. And just the memories of that and the experiences we had that shaped us as kids into adults. So yeah, I think I just pulled from all of those different channels.
Thank you. And now, for the narration, what inspired your narration as, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce this word?
Drosselmeyer?
Drosselmeyer, yes, thank you, yes. So what inspired your narration?
Amethyst Rose, Lori LaRusso, Gina Bergamini, Paige, Randall, and Jose, Rondon Jr. And all the memories that I've had of Paige and Randall and Jose and I at the Tarrytown Music Hall, performing together, taking company class together, watching each other. I have done roles in the Nutcracker. I've done Mother Ginger. I've done the Mouse King. So it was more the storytelling aspect that I saw with everyone's solos. I filmed Lori and Gina, and I just said, do your own treat. So as I saw everyone's solo, and again, dancing their truth and what they were passionate about. Gina is a belly dancer. She teaches belly dance. Lori is a tap dancer and a choreographer. She's also an instructor. The second half of the narration, I started to write poetry to introduce each variation because I wanted it to be less about me and more about bringing them forward. So it just became, writing couplets for each introduction, making it fun and snappy and engaging, but then getting right back to them, right back to their artistry. It was very inspiring. There were 30 takes of that narration. 30.
Oh my God. And for my next question, as performers and creators, can you talk a little bit about creating and performing during a pandemic and what is the experience like?
It's been difficult, of course. It's been challenging. It's been rewarding, but not in like the most like obvious sense. I've really had to just like really make a choice to either dive deeper into my art or not, and just like honor either side and be okay with the in between. Um, so like being me, like I'm a taller person. I've been blessed to like work in some large studios. So having to like be confined for the past like 8 or 9 months to either my bedroom or now that I'm home, my bedroom or my family living room while people are working or coming through. So it requires like a different sense of discipline that I am grateful to have had this isolation period to work on as opposed to having to work on it in front of others. So I'm appreciative of this time. I would love for studios and stages to open again safely so that we can fully flex our muscles and fully dive into our creativity and just explore and collaborate more and share in person if possible. I would love to do that safely as soon as possible, but it's been a learning curve for sure. Yeah, and I'm grateful for it though.
Thank you. And I completely understand. It must be hard as a dancer to be confined in your own home and you really can't, flex your muscles and do all those extravagant like dances and moves. So I understand, yes.
Or even hear sometimes. You're not hearing, like you're used to sometimes, some people are used to only hearing live music and now you're forced to hear recordings, or you can even barely hear the recordings depending on if it's Instagram class or if it's from Zoom or some type of different setup.
And it might break up sometimes. Yeah. So it must be,
Crazy.
Crazy. So my next question is for Paige. What was the toughest part about making this unique film?
I think lack of time. Because I mean, Marianne, I love you, and I'll do anything for Marianne, and I'll do anything for the people that I love. And this idea, again, it started out as just me doing Sugar Plum, and then, things just started to happen and flow. And I tried to be very organized and clear. And, I just wanted everyone that I was asking to be part of this to also understand and have a moment, because again, like we are in a pandemic and I like to respect people's space and where they are in their life at any given day. So I'm very appreciative of the artists that made it happen, because again, without you guys, there would not be a film. But this was like a collaboration. So there's a lot of different voices and opinions and ideas. So having to be, articulate and clear about that with Tanner. And again, he did such a wonderful job of tying it together. And it's been a blessing to have been introduced to him. I also have never met him, but the work that he produces time and time again has just been stellar, and has really captured what it was that, we wanted to in our message.
Thank you. And for my next question, it's for Marianne and Paige. What was the best part about making the virtual Nutcracker film?
It came out of a conversation that I had with the Crestwood Library branch manager, Z. Baird, and a discussion with Friends of Crestwood Library, who are the fundraisers for the library. We talked about a Zoom Nutcracker on December 29th. Upon hearing that, I picked up the phone and I called Paige and I said, "Oh, thank you for taking the call, Marianne Penzero. I'd like to know if you'd like to dance Sugar Plum." And that became the most wonderful journey for me, just getting to know everyone. I'm proud to say we have been booked with the Mount Vernon Library, so Randall will be in your hometown. And we've also booked the Mount Kisco Library.
Where can we catch the Nutcracker virtual film?
Yes, so the film is currently available on our website, the Paige Fraser Foundation.org. It is also still up on our Facebook page because it was so well received. I was like, okay, I might as well keep it up. And it will be streaming there, and also through BronxNet, I believe, is sharing it Christmas Eve on their network. So really excited about that, and the continuous support you guys continue to show the Paige Fraser Foundation.
Thank you. I can't wait to tune in and watch it and see what you guys have created. It's going to be exciting and amazing. Thank you. And for my last couple of questions, if you wanted to learn more about the Paige Fraser Foundation, sign up for workshops and resources, how can we do that?
Yes, so we have Dance's Healing Workshop is coming up in about 2 weeks, December 27th. It will be on Zoom, and we are calling dancers between the ages of 10 and 18 with or without disabilities. And that information is also on our website and our social media platforms. So again, that's the PaigeFraserFoundation.org.
Thank you. And now for my last question for today is, do you have any advice and tips for young creators, families, and community during this time?
I would just say be as creative as possible. We as the human race is in a very big challenge to be creative and to step out of our social norms. And I think this is the time to not be scared, even preaching to myself, to really think about things that we haven't seen or that we would have liked to have seen in our past society, and try to implement it, while we have this time, while we're virtual, while we're in our own spaces, while we don't really have access to criticism and we have the power to criticize ourselves. This is the best time to also reach out, and to hit up somebody that you wanted to work with for a while and see what they're doing, because 10 times out of 10, they're probably not doing that much. And to also don't be afraid to look back, as much as little experience or a lot of experience that you do have, it can help somebody because we all go through the same stages. We're just at different levels.
One thing I would share with anyone who would listen to me is I had no idea libraries were such a resource for emerging artists. I got thrown into teaching, pursued a graduate school degree, and used the college library to learn about teaching. The public libraries are a bigger resource. New York Public Library has free programs. Lincoln Center is offering free programs. Paige Fraser with Dance's Healing. But libraries themselves have rigorous theater programs. And then as an emerging choreographer and teacher, I would say to anybody right now, reach out to the public libraries and offer them, for $50 an hour, that you would go in and teach either a dance or a theater program. And then that gets you out into the community and your phone really will start to ring off the hook. You can do a reading of Nutcracker. You can do, Paige doesn't know it yet, but for Black History Month, we're planning on, a possible celebration of Harriet Tubman, as Paige has danced that role before. Or reaching out to the libraries and the community centers, and especially the recreation programs, are all geared to help at a moderate price until you're able to go on for those more formal trainings.
And piggybacking off of what Marianne is saying about public libraries, Paige and I used to, during the summers together, would go to the Lincoln Centers, their database of, they have every performance that's ever happened in New York City for free, as long as you have a library card. So if you're a young person looking to still see dance and you don't see the companies that you're into, or you just want to learn and just see dance, that's not your friends on Instagram, I would suggest that is the route to go. And it's totally free of cost. And to also just like do your own research during this time of where there's like not much happening, you can still be creative and create something for yourself, even as a young person.
I think to piggyback off of everyone, just do it. Like, that's something that I've lived by, even though it's so cliche. Thanks, Nike. But yeah, I think once you have the idea and you're inspired, whether or not you're inspired, sometimes you're not inspired, but when you have the idea, write it down, meditate over it, talk to friends that you trust about it, because you never know what it will lead to. And I firmly believe that this film, it's a 20-minute film, can blossom into something even more magical once we can come into the room and really like have a table talk and like really go back and forth on ideas. And you know, for me, it's just beautiful to see that like this idea, this one thing that we spoke about, Marianne, has now reached many classrooms and many young dancers, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. And we keep saying this, but living in your purpose, because if you're in your purpose, then it will unfold as it should, and it will be received well, and it will be, you'll feel supported and appreciated. And yeah, that's what we just want to continue to do through the foundation, is offer these programs, offer these creative ideas. You know, earlier this year, I did another film, Bent But Not Broken, and that caught the eyes of Martha Hunt, a top model, supermodel. And again, you just never know. And I think if your heart is in it and you're genuine, the work will be received.
Thank you guys so much for coming and tuning in and joining us. Thank you to the Paige Fraser Foundation team for joining Holidays of 2.0 today. Sorry. We cannot wait to catch a virtual Nutcracker on BronxNet and to celebrate the holidays safely with our family and friends for this year. And we'll catch you guys next time on the next holiday of Open 2.0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.